We're here today to inform and bring awareness to our volunteers at HF, our board members, our sponsors, pretty much anyone in the community that works with special populations, to make sure that we're speaking from a positive versus deficit perspective, and making sure that we know the power of our words. With HF being in the media so much, I think it's really important that we are using person-first language. Good afternoon, class. We are going to continue our work with understanding person-first language. So let's start with a quick review. What do we call a person with a disability?
A person.
Exactly. We are all people first, regardless of our labels or differences. Not one label can possibly define us as a person, so we should never lead with it. For example, instead of saying disabled person, we should say
Person with disabilities.
Yes, we emphasize the person first rather than starting with the disability first. It recognizes that the person is not the disability. I'm personally directionally challenged, nearsighted, a bit heavier than I was in my younger days. But if people were to label me that when talking about me first, I'd be like, what? I'm so much more than that. So when words alone define people, the result is a
label.
And labels often reinforce
barriers
or
stigmas.
Right. So treat individuals with dignity and respect and use person-first language. And finally, when do we make mention of a disability?
Only when relevant to the conversation.
Wonderful. Now I want to introduce you to two guests here that are visiting us today from a nonprofit organization here in Minnesota called the Hendrickson Foundation. And this is our executive director, Danny Hendrickson.
Laura, thank you for the introduction, class. Thank you for having us here today. As Laura said, I'm Danny Hendrickson, the executive director with the Hendrickson Foundation. I'm here with my other brother, my good buddy, Gino Parrish.
Hi, guys.
We are a nonprofit, which she mentioned, that supports 4 wonderful programs here in Minnesota. Minnesota Wild Blind Hockey, Minnesota Wild Special Hockey, Minnesota Wild Sled Hockey, and the last one is the Minnesota Warriors, all veterans with disabilities. So these are all veterans in the armed forces that have served multiple tours. They've been overseas. They've done amazing things for our country. They come back, and some people have major physical issues, but a vast majority of them, when they come back, they suffer from PTSD. Yes?
So they're not actually suffering from PTSD. We say that they're living with PTSD.
Thank you.
Now we know.
Now, scholars, it's my pleasure here to introduce you to a wonderful friend who has a personal connection to this, Mr. Gino Parrish with 4-Star.
Hi, guys. The reason that I hold the Hendrickson Foundation so near and dear to my heart is not only because they're wonderful people, which you are.
Thank you.
No matter what your mom says about you, is because of my daughter. My daughter, at a young age, was stricken with a mitochondrial disorder. Yeah?
She wasn't stricken with it, that's just how she was born.
Okay. Okay.
Gino.
So, yeah, I'm learning. That's great. So my daughter was born with a mitochondrial disorder that leads to seizures and stroke-like episodes. So her upbringing has been really anything but normal. She's yeah?
Oh, come on now, man. What's normal nowadays? We're all kind of unique, right?
That's a valid point. How do I describe it?
A person.
She's a person. My daughter's a person. My daughter is a person with a mitochondrial disorder. Ever since she was young, she's been in a special needs class. She has 6 teachers and 6 children in there to stay hands-on. And she has all sorts of kids in there, kids with Down syndrome, or they are wheelchair bound. Yes?
They aren't wheelchair bound, they just use a wheelchair.
All right.
Gino.
Okay, so people that use wheelchairs. All right, thank you. Yeah, so anyway, that's really the biggest reason why I support the Hendrickson Foundation. It is very, very close to me from a personal perspective.
Thank you, everybody, for allowing us to come, learning from you. Thank you, Gino, other brother.
We learned a lot.
We did learn a lot. Thank you, Laura Meyer, the Director of Volunteers with the Hendrickson Foundation. Everybody, we appreciate it.
of the things that I took away from today was that to assume competence. It's okay to ask for help, but assume that they're competent.
What I learned today is that your words really do matter. Number one, when you're talking about somebody with a disability, you put the person first. A hockey player with a disability. But you would never bring up the disability unless it's relevant to the conversation. That's just kind of 101. But then always talking in a positive versus a deficit makes a big difference as well.